choose your warlord and team up with Pokémon to defeat enemy warlords and their Pokémon. Only then can you build your army, conquer rival kingdoms, and unite the region. New Pokémon Conquest. You can battle like never before.
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we're going back to an unlikely Pokemon spin-off and a unique collaboration that nowadays I'd just love to see more of. Today, we're talking about Pokemon Conquest. This video is brought to you by Soylent. Soylent is the world's most perfect food because, ladies and gentlemen, as a man who's always on the go, having a full-on meal in these bottles is a convenience unlike any other. Just opening up my fridge and being graced by a variety of different flavors, it is absolutely wonderful. Not only because it's convenient, but there's science-backed nutrition, okay? The perfect synergy of macro and micronutrients. Every ingredient in their formula has been validated through clinical research to work in synergy with each other and for our health. Not only that, but it tastes good. Their formula was consistently beating both dairy and plant-based competitors on creaminess, smoothness, and taste, and were awarded Product of the Year in a survey of over 40,000 people by Kantar Research. Trust me when I say your life will be easier, it tastes delicious, it's healthy. Try Soylent. The first 500 people to use this link and code RetroRebound30 will get 30% off their first order with Soylent. A Koei Tecmo Pokemon game that's like a tactics game based during Nobunaga's ambition with Pokemon in it. How crazy is that? I've never played this game before. I've had it on my shelf for a long while. I bought it during the pandemic for about $40. It's only gone up in price since then, which makes sense. It's such a unique type of game, and I'd love to see it get remastered or re-released for the Nintendo Switch, or even like a new entry in the series would be really, really cool because it's such a unique spin-off. And going into it, I didn't know what to expect. It sounds like such a Maddie game on the surface. Like, Nobunaga's ambition speaks to me because I love the Samurai Warrior games, right? Like, they were so much fun, especially Samurai Warriors 2 Empires. So to see characters from that series, which I know is based off of history, and then also Pokemon in there, it's awesome. It's different, it's fun, and I just want to talk about it and answer the question, is it really that good? And if you were to ask me, yes, indeed. So let's get into this unique Pokemon spinoff, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're into nostalgic and retrospective content, consider subscribing. Let's start off, as always, complete in-box experience. Back of the box here, it says, warlords and Pokemon unite to conquer the land. Thrilling Pokemon battles. 6-on-6 turn-based action on a wide variety of unique battlefields. With assist your Pokemon with warrior skills. We'll explain all of this down the stretch. Recruit Pokemon and warriors into your army, as well as becoming a warlord and strengthening the links with your Pokemon and building your kingdom. This is around the time the 3DS was just coming out, so they're talking about how it's playable on 3DS, and they promote some wireless play here. Meanwhile, on the inside, got a nice, beautiful, legit cartridge, by the way, and we have a number of slips underneath the actual manual itself that we'll go into here. Nothing crazy, just some Club Nintendo stuff. We also have a Nintendo health and safety precautions booklet. This one's really cool. This one's the Wi-Fi connection booklet. It's promoting Black and White 2, a Pokemon game that I also haven't played, so I know I got a lot of work to do. I told you all, I became a Battle Network kid, and that was the end of Pokemon for me. Even the spin-offs that were dope and had my name written all over them. Anyway, we also have promotions for Rumble Blast. We have the 3DS in here, and then on the back, a little bit more on Pokemon Conquest. So a couple of slips in there, not too bad, but the reason we're here, of course, is the manual, and we're going to start to get into the game with that. So here we go. Let's crack it on open. Of course, it's nice and illustrated, nice and colorful. We love that. It talks about a brand new Pokemon adventure, journey to the land of Ransai with warriors, warlord, I almost said Wardlow, my AEW almost came out, warlords, as well as battles. Okay, so pretty much what's happening here is you're the owner of Castle Aurora, and as the game starts up, your castle's getting invaded, so you gotta fight back some folks. And then you start going on a bit of your own crusade as you fight and take over castle after castle after castle, which it's not a dark video game in my opinion by any stretch, but the concept of just being on this warpath in a Pokemon game is kind of hilarious. And there's even like a little bit of tongue-in-cheek humor. Like there's this one point I was talking to an NPC and they said something like, oh, I heard one time that in another land far away, you could actually catch these Pokemon in a Pokeball and carry them around. Who would do something like that? I like how the game's written, but otherwise, like, it's kind of crazy how it's all based around going to war and taking over castles with Pokemon battling each other, warlords battling each other. I don't know if a Pokemon game like this would actually get made nowadays. It's still, as you can see on the box here, an E for everyone game, so maybe, but the concept of it, in my opinion, is a little dark. But continuing on here, we talk about starting the game and what that entails. We already know how to do that. You pick your gender at the top of the game, and then you go into the controls, and then fighting battles. You select a kingdom to invade, select the warriors to go to battle, fight the battle, view the battle results, and you can recruit warriors. And so let's get into all of that, shall we? Because this is kind of the meat of the game is the battle. So like I mentioned, you're going to attack other kingdoms, and when you do, as the back of the box said, it's 6v6 up to that turn-based action. You start off with just 2 members in your party, if you will, and so each of the warlords has their own Pokemon with them. So like, you'll start off with Eevee, but then you'll also have a friend who starts off with Jigglypuff. And I like this. It reminds me a bit of how I felt about like XD Gale of Darkness, where it's like, oh, some unlikely starter Pokemon. Like you start with Umbreon in that game, and I thought, you know what, that's cool. Or it was Coliseum, I apologize. I think, oh, that's cool. So I like when we get a little bit of that in these Pokemon games, not your usual, you know, fire, grass, water. So you start off in battle, and it is very much at first like, oh, this is simple, this is easy. You know, I just recently last year played Tactics Ogre, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I really like these types of games. But what's cool about this is every battlefield's unique. Like I fought in a fire battlefield, and there was magma shooting up from the ground. There was a volcano erupting, so there was rocks landing everywhere. There was a nearby hot spring that you could sit in if you were burning or taking damage. You could restore your health over there. So there's 3 different mechanics in this just one map. There was another map in a kingdom called Greenleaf, which had this bridge that would extend and retract every other turn. So you can make the most use of it and actually make your way across the map a little bit quicker if you time out your moves properly. What's also really interesting about this is there are different modes for battle. There's one where there are banners planted around the map, and sometimes not every battle is about fighting and just beating your enemy, while some are. One of them is capturing these banners. And so what happens is I started this battle against Greenleaf, and I was undermanned. They do a little bit of a strength rating before every battle begins, and so their strength was considerably higher than mine, so that means they were also outnumbering me, and I was fighting again this uphill battle. What's really cool is that means that I gotta work tactically to stay alive and just capture these banners and utilize what I had on my team, which was a Charmander, who naturally we know Charmander is going to scorch any type of grass Pokemon in existence. So I tried to use that to my advantage, let Charmander do the 1-on-2 fighting, while Jigglypuff and Eevee did more 1-on-1 battles. And so I love that I immediately got tactical with it. You see, I apologize, but my expectations were not this high. But with the unique battlefields, with the unique approach to combat, the unique modes within combat, it was a ton of fun. And especially, I love the healthy challenge. It wasn't impossible, but it was a great challenge nonetheless. We'll get into more about what happens after battle. Here, they break down a bit of the battle screen, which I'm sure you've already seen with the gameplay on screen. They talk about battle controls, moving around, fighting. You'll beat certain Pokemon up, and they'll drop loot like gold that you can use to spend on items at the shop, equipment that you can put on. You can go and buy what they call, I love the name, Ponigiri, which is food that you'll eat before a fight, and it'll increase your energy. So that'll give you a little bit more of an edge in a big battle. It does cost money, like I said, so you have to balance that out with other stuff you want to buy, like potions, and you can only equip so many of those, so you're not really able to load up. And again, I just think the biggest problem with Pokemon for me as a kid, which is funny because I'm not like a sweat by any means, but it was a little just too easy, and I would still say to this day a little too simple. Like, one thing I really loved about Legends Arceus was that they had the styles, and you could swap the styles how you see fit, and I thought that was just a great step forward that we've been looking for a long time. But this, to me, that tactical knowledge that's required just spoke to me again. So continuing on, you have the status effects you'd expect in a Pokemon game, and then they talk about life in Ransai. Once you've captured additional castles, you can use the map, you can view info on the specific locations, you can visit locations, link and recruit new Pokemon and new warriors. So yeah, each turn is a month. You'll see as you progress throughout the game, it always goes month by month by month. And what you'll do in these kingdoms is, as they talked about, recruiting Pokemon, recruiting warlords, and linking with them. So you'll find like an area like a cave, and in there will be a warlord hunkered down with, in my case, a Charmander, and they're like, oh, you want to beat me? You want me to join you? You're gonna have to beat me under these specific conditions. And so what'll happen is I beat him within 4 turns, which was the specific condition. There's also ones that they put in the hints here in the back of the manual, like, oh, if you beat the enemy with like a super effective attack, things like that, you will have them request to be a part of your army. And so you'll gradually build up your army. And then it gets a little bit of like, this is gonna be a weird connection, but it gets a little bit of like Star Wars Battlefront 2 Galactic Conquest energy, where you see all these little icons on the map and they're connected with these various lines, and some territories are yours in the case of Galactic Conquest, some planets are yours, some are not, and sometimes you'll be attacking one planet or one castle, and the enemy will be attacking another, so as you gain one, you lose one. What that means is as you're recruiting your forces more and more, you're gonna start to leave certain pockets of warriors and warlords at these various castles to protect the house as you grow your kingdoms. So again, there's that tactical know-how of who do I wanna leave behind? Who am I gonna need to take on, say, the water warlord? It's like, okay, I'm going to need a lot of my grass Pokemon, but hold on, the water warlord has moved around and they're coming to attack me from this other angle. So if I use too many for the Water Warlord's castle, they may just sneak up and take what I'm trying to hold down. So there's little thought exercises like that, which I think is much appreciated. So a lot of it's about recruiting and managing your talent, so to say. And also, each of these warriors is greatly important because you may need one that has a particular weakness, but they have a really valuable warrior skill. So in combat, each warrior has unique skills that they can deploy, and you can still take your turn, which I thought was really nice. So if I want to use Jigglypuff's warrior skill, what'll happen is I'll heal all allies in the field, but Jigglypuff can still attack after that, or use an item or whatever, which again, it gives you a lot of turn flexibility, and I really did appreciate. So another one is Eevee has the ability to extend their range even further. So, okay, I need to attack this enemy from far away. Let me check if I can move there. Okay, I can. I'll be 2 tiles away. That's fine. And then you activate the warrior skill, move those tiles, and reach and hit the enemy that you previously couldn't to make the most of your turn. So again, strategy is the name of the game here, but it's not overwhelming for kids, which I thought was also impressive. Like, as a younger adult, I gotta say I was impressed with how much thought I had to put into it, and I really liked that about the game, but it didn't feel like I had to be on a whole other level. Like, it felt very accessible. It was well balanced. The damage wasn't crazy, and so I just thought, again, it was insanely impressive, all the different things you could do here. So let's continue reading on throughout the life of Ransei as they continue on breaking down the maps, the month and year, the gold, the locations within the selected kingdoms. They talk about the map a little bit more here, what happens next month, what you're going to see on the info screen, the links with your Pokemon. Let's stop there and talk about that. So as you fight in battles, you'll see that there's a percentage in your results screen, we'll call it, which is your link with your Pokemon. So again, you start off with Eevee. We'll stick with the kind of non-spoilery example, and you'll gradually increase your link with that Pokemon. As you increase the link with the Pokemon, they become more strong. And I like this because it's not just level up. It's you fought alongside this beast, and they are your noble warrior. And so as you bond through combat, they become more powerful. Once you hit 100%, your moves can evolve and whatnot. It's really, again, a great set of systems here that work well, encourage strategy, but also encourage sticking with your Pokemon, sticking with that same group and increasing the link percentage that you have with them. So they talk a little bit about in the manual what happens when you hit max link. You cannot exceed the value of max link, but it determines your compatibility with your various Pokemon. They go over warrior skills, which I talked about a little bit ago. Your move rank also goes up as they level up, so they can grow stronger. They say here, as the link between a warrior and Pokemon grows stronger, the move can be upgraded by +1 or +2. As the move rank increases, the damage inflicted upon the opponent will increase, thereby increasing the strength of the move. So it's not like you get these huge move sets like you would in a traditional Pokemon game. It's more so about making wise choices on what Pokemon come on the field with you. So again, really impressive levels of strategy here. Continuing on, just more about lists of warriors and whatnot, and then a little Q&A in the back about recruiting warriors. There are special warriors you'll meet in the main story, which is nice. They talk more about linking Pokemon here. They break down all of the different percentages here and what they mean, what a perfect link is, which I talked about. If you, right here, it says your link reaches 100%, then your moves just might take on some new special effects, which is awesome. They talk about increasing energy with the Ponegiri, type compatibility, completing the gallery, because there's a ton of concept art here. Of course, in Nintendo fashion, and encouragement to play with others. And then in Pokemon fashion, a little type compatibility chart here in the back in case you forget anything, in case anything confuses you. It labels what's super effective, not very effective, or has no effect at all. And yeah, like, I think super effective attacks naturally in Pokemon feel great, but in Pokemon Conquest, oh man, when you get that compatibility advantage, you have all of the high ground. Shout out to Anakin Skywalker. Anyway, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a complete in-box copy of Pokemon Conquest, a game that I've really been seeking to talk about for a while, where here this month is just perfect to kind of sink into some different Pokemon games. I want to do Pokemon Ranger as another one, just so you all know future Pokemon games I'm thinking about. The reason we are holding off right now is, number one, I gotta protect my DS. I gotta get a screen protector or something, because I played Pokemon Ranger growing up. I think, number one, partially responsible for my carpal tunnel. Number two, destroyed my bottom screen. So we're gonna try to avoid all of that if we can help it, and see what we can do about that. But also, I need to figure out how to capture gameplay for it. With Pokemon Conquest, it worked out really well, where the bottom screen wasn't really touchscreen focused, so it really panned out well for this kind of video. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on Pokemon Conquest. Really underrated Nintendo DS exclusive. It's still stranded there. I hope Nintendo kind of decides one day to unearth it and go put it on Switch. I think it would be a really good fit for a modern audience, and kind of fits what Nintendo's doing right now, which is they're just in this remaster age, man. They're doing things like Metroid Prime, Pikmin 1 and 2, and so on and so forth. So with all the rumors about like them doing Zelda games that we've all wanted, I think Wind Waker's one we hear a lot about. Of course, there's also Twilight Princess. I hope that a Pokemon game that didn't get much shine finally gets it. So we'll see, but nonetheless, wanted to share some thoughts on this game, and of course, hear some of yours, so please fire away. Other than that, take fantastic care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.